Well, hello, it's Wednesday, so it must be time for Willie Hat's Wednesday Whip. You join me in the lounge today because the champagne room is rather noisy. We are having hailstorms in May. Yes, I know, after all that lovely weather in April. So I am back in the jumpers. Now, you might say, oh, you've not seen this one before. Well, you haven't. And this is a jumper I actually bought. I haven't made this. I bought it in Ireland. We had a camping trip in Cork, no, not Cork, Kerry, several years ago. And a second week we went up to visit some friends in County Clare. And although it was sunny during the day, it was quite cold at night. So I had to do an emergency jumper purchase because I hadn't got one thick enough for that. So it's quite nice. It's pure wool and it's got a nice cable design. So it's quite nice. And it's got a little feature there, sort of little cables up on the sleeve joined there. So that's quite nice. It's plain on the back and plain on the sleeves. But it did the job, and nice little zip to keep me nice and warm and whatever. So there you go. So that's my dingle sweater. I did actually buy 2 lots of wool when I was down there, and I made Mr. W a lovely Aran jumper. This in Aran yarn, and I had the orange one, which I think you've seen me wear for quite some time. So here we are in May, and yes, I've had my hair cut. Yes, you might see it's a bit shorter. And that's been a great relief, and it saves time washing. And the other thing is I've had my second jab today, so I'm feeling quite elated, apart from the fact that it's hailing. And I would love to get out in the garden because it's nice and sunny now, but in a second it'll be hailing, raining. Anyway, so that's me. Now, what have I been doing? I have been making or knitting. This is the Rowan for the jumper, the sports sweater from Rowan pattern book number 1, in that lovely blue colour, and it's the Moorland yarn, which is mostly Blueface Leicester and the alpaca, and it's all British yarn, and it is absolutely delightful to knit with. So if you haven't knitted anything with this, then do that. So it's quite an interesting pattern because it starts off narrow and then you increase on the mane. You think, well, that's a bit of faff, but it actually makes quite a nice shape. And then the arms are straight up, so there's not so much shaping on the arms. So that's the back, and I've been doing the front. So I've nearly finished. I've just about finished the front now. Here we go. So you see it's got a little pocket there, and it's got a V there for the top, and there's buttons to do it, but there will be buttons. And you'll notice I've got little red bits, and that's because although the pattern says, especially when you're measuring the front and the back, and it says measure up to a certain point, I always find that I get a bit enthusiastic and perhaps stretch my yarn a bit. So I like to make sure that I do the right number of rows. So I tend to put in little tags every 20 rows so that I know how far I've got to go. And then all I need to do is count, and then I'll do that on the other piece of work, and it means that I'm not continually measuring, I'm just counting rows, and I find that's a lot easier than faffing around with lots of tape measures and wondering when I've got the right thing or not. So the next stages on this is I've got the collar to do, the button band to do, and then they put the front and the back seams together and you cast them off together, which forms a nice little ridge across the shoulder, which is quite a nice feature. So that's going to be interesting to do. So and then once you've done that, it's just the arms, and the arms aren't actually that long because it's you go from there and then they're straight. So that's good. I might be able to wear that if it continues to be cold and haily. So there we go. So that's that. So the other thing I've been doing is I got my sewing machine out. I haven't had my sewing machine out for ages, perhaps inspired by the sewing bee. For ages I've been meaning to cover one of our sofas, which is an old IKEA sofa I bought in 1990. It's very, very jazzy coloured, but the covers doesn't really go with everything else we've got. So I found some old material I bought about 13 years ago to make some curtains. I didn't get around to doing it, so I've now converted it into a throw for the sofa. So I'll turn you around. There you go. So that is the sofa there. So I don't know whether you can see up here. So that's the colour of it underneath. As you can see, it's quite jazzy. But there we go. So that's what I've been doing on my sewing machine. So not very complicated, it's just straight lines, but it's a long time since I've done that. But yeah, so that's been very exciting. So that's a big tick because that's been on my list of things to do for a while now. Although Mr. W didn't even know it was on my list. So there we go. So of course, I don't know, I'll show you again. So it's got some cushions on there, but as you can see, they're pattern cushions and they sort of, sorry, I'm going all bonky here. They sort of disappear into the sofa with the stripes. So guess what? I'm going to have to knit or crochet some new cushion covers. Yay! So there we are, another project. So that's what I've been doing. And then the other thing is, on the spirit of, so this is, this is the jumper I made from the Dingle sweater, the Dingle yarn there. There's a few, I think there's the cuff that needs a bit of attention there. It's sort of coming undone, so I've got something of that to do. And then I've got, this is a jumper I did ages ago. It's a nice big one, but there's a few little holes and things that have come in. I'm not sure why. They're not moth holes, and I think one of the cuffs is, or down the bottom is the thing. So I've got some mending to do. And then Mr. W kindly found this jumper, which I knitted him many years ago, but he doesn't wear because it's got a hole there. So I'm going to have to find a way of doing that. I've got some yarn which is probably there because I've knitted it a long time ago. I haven't got any of the original yarn, so and it's a nice jumper. It's wool, so I shall have to do some darning there. So that will keep me busy while it's raining outside, and hopefully later in the week it'll be nice enough to go and sit outside in the garden again. So I will be sending out an e-newsletter to give you all the dates of the new courses that I've got coming up in the autumn, so please have a look and see what you'd like to do. And I'm still waiting to see if the hall will be open in the summer for workshops, so I'll let you know if there's anything there as well. So I think that is all for me today, although I've gone on for 7 minutes and 20 seconds, which is quite long. I do hope you're having a good week and that you are keeping yourself busy and entertained, either by crafting or reading or meeting up with friends and family, having your jabs, sitting or walking in the garden, all that kind of stuff. Do let me know what you're doing in terms of knitting and crochet. I'd love to see what you're up to, and I will see you next week. Bye.